And the loveliness of the stillness. Lift your shoulders up to your ears. Body grows. Slide them back and down. Your hands just nicely resting onto your thighs. And with our practice, no, yoga is not a workout. It is more a work in. And this is the way of spiritual practice, a way to learn, to open up hearts and focus on awareness so that we can know that we are already known and we already know who we really are without envy. Your body, your moment, your spirit. As before, lift your shoulders up and keep your shoulders up. Almost allow them to climb up a ladder, lifting, lifting, lifting. And then slowly, very slowly, your shoulder blades slide down, your neck lengthens, keeping your breath full. Invite a full breath in. Breathe into the front, the sides, the back of your body, filling up the barrel. And a slow exhale. Sigh to release any tightness or busyness of body and mind. Again, filling, breathing into all four sides of your waist. Allow yourself the flotation, but sitting even taller. And the softness of your exhale, again with a sigh. At any time throughout our practice, we'll exhale in terms of a sigh, releases any of the tightness that we're not aware of, or the tightness of a pose that we feel. The sigh allows the release. Softly bring your palms together and into heart center. And the bowing of your head. Always bowing to the light within. The union of your palms is with the union of us all. Place your hands now down by your side onto your mat. Keep your eyes closed, but slightly tuck your chin back to ensure that the front of your throat is as long as the back. Big breath in. And on your exhale, take your left ear to your left shoulder. As you know, tiptoeing your right fingers a little farther away. And see if you can breathe more into the left side of your body, keeping your torso long and allowing the freedom of the outer edges of your right side of your neck. Any little adjustments? And keeping of your fingers rooted. On your next in-breath, lift your head back up to center and we'll change sides. So gravity draws to the right, fingers to the left, out. Slowly bring your head back up to center. And again, lift your shoulders up to your ears. Slide them back and descend down. Place your right fingers onto your right shoulder and lift your elbow up. Walk your left fingers out for a lovely side lean. So pressing down a little bit more so onto your left palm to ensure your right hip stays rooted. And you can keep your fingers onto your shoulder or maybe extending out towards the left, caring for your shoulders, both your right and your left. Allowing the lengthening, the opening from your outer right hip through the side of your body, pit of your arm, upper arm, maybe to fingers. With your next in-breath, bring yourselves back up to sitting tall, center. And then as the right fingers nicely settle down, place your left fingers onto your left shoulder, elbow up, lean to the right. And then once you ensure that both of your sitting bones are rooted, perhaps extending of your arm over towards the right or fingers settled. And sometimes trying one and then trying the other to know which is the best for the opening. Stay as you are for a breath in, and stay as you are with an exhale out. Next in-breath, back up to center, arms both down, and then just roll your shoulders. Big, lovely circles. And then from here, take your legs forward, and as usual, just wrap hands around your shins and your head to hang. And this time, just slightly tuck your chin in towards your chest to give more lengthening of the back of your neck. Now, as you're lengthening the back of your neck, ensure that your shoulder blades are still descending down to the back of your hips. The head hanging, the spine open, allows a little bit more ease of breathing into the back of your body, expanding with the back of your lungs with your in-breath, and a lovely sigh on your exhale. Bring yourselves back to sitting tall, and I'll just get you to cross your opposite shin in front of the other. You might want to shake your legs out a few times, and then cross your opposite ankle. And as always, taking up the buttocks back, allow your hips to tilt forward. We all there? Beautiful. With your next in-breath, keep your eyes closed, lift your fingers up to the sky. Arms are long and strong, and bring your palms together and slowly slide down to heart center. Extend your arms to the side, again with your in-breath, floating of your fingers up till your palms connect, and slowly slide down to heart center. Breath in, arms out, floating up. Allow the lengthening of not just your arms, but your torso. Palms together, and down to heart center. And holding the union of your palms together, take your thumbs right towards your chest bone. Slowly turn your face over towards the right. And make sure your shoulder blades stay down. So as you're growing from your sitting bones up, the stability and the ease of the turn with your neck. And then as you're ready, we'll slowly change sides, taking your gaze forward, your gaze to your inner eyelids, your eyes are closed, and then over towards the left. Again, shoulders down, neck long. Slowly turn your face back forward. And place your hands down onto your thighs. Get you to take your left hand and place it onto your right knee. Do a little bit of a body twist. The importance of your right fingers behind, rooted down. Keep sitting tall, and then slowly turn. So as you're turning through your torso, slightly tuck your shoulder blades together so you can sit proud. Belly back towards your spine so you have the stability. Stay as you are. Lovely breath in. And on your exhale, let's change sides. So softly unwinding, and this time right hand onto your left knee. Left fingers down, body long, turning of your torso. Stay, turn towards the side, but have a breath in, a full, complete breath in. And on your exhale, just bring yourselves back to center. Lift your arms now up to the sky. So we're going to blend together the turning and arms long. Have an in-breath. With your exhale, turn towards the right. So your left hand onto your right shoulder. Allow that growing for the turning, and maybe this time turning of your nose over your shoulder. With your next in-breath, lift your arms back up to vertical. Direction of your face, central. And then we'll turn sides. So this time, turning of your torso, arms down. Allow the lifting of the arms, allow the more space between the ribs, a little bit taller, strong, and aligned. With your next in-breath, bring yourselves back to neutral, fingers still up to the sky. We'll do this again just with the breath. So arms lift, breathe in, and exhale, twist over towards the right. Hands to the floor, and your knee. And then in-breath, lifting of your arms up. And turn this time towards the left. In-breath, center, long, lifting. And exhale, let's twist to the other side. Again, turning of your chin if you want. Next in-breath, neutral, long, lifted. And fly one more time over towards the left. And with your in-breath, come back to center, arms long, fingers up. And on your exhale, bring your palms together and down to heart center. And again, take your legs forward and softly wrap your shins around your forearms, or your forearms around your shins and your head to hang. And give your head a little shake, shake. Shake away the tightness. Even allow the shaking of the head to release the stress that we sometimes hold. Shake it away, just like salt and pepper. Bring yourselves now back up to sitting tall. And we're going to go into table pose. So the table pose, use your firm blocks, and placing of your hands on your firm blocks. So as you know, the importance of the verticalness of your arms, the verticalness of the thighs. Okay, so sometimes it's a little bit of adjustment. And then take your gaze down and take yourselves into the cat and cow, but again, step by step. So with your in-breath, just start to lower your belly down, slightly lengthening of your torso. And then exhale, that first movement of your spine up, not reaching, more rounding. And then continue with a little journey of the opening of your spine, each time with cat and cow, perhaps lowering a little more, or lifting a little higher. So again, not a workout, not an achievement. It's working within. And at the end of your next exhale, bring yourselves back to neutral, center. Get you to extend your right leg behind you. So placing the ball of your foot down, the initial opening of the calf. So always looking back to make sure that your toes are forward, not out towards the side. So you have the lengthening from the sole of your foot around your heel, your Achilles tendon, your body long. And sometimes just a very subtle rocking forward and back, almost a little bit of pumping of your heel without force. Just it's almost like filling of the fuel and releasing of the tightness. And then bring yourselves back to stillness. Keeping basically your heel above the ball of your foot, your extended back leg, I want you to extend your opposite arm forward. So keep your heel, your ball of your foot down, your fingers forward. A little bit more support. And just as we have been leaning to the side, the length of from the top of your hips, lengthening to the pit of your arm, right to the ends of your fingers. Place your hand back down onto your firm block. So think about this one. I want you to keep the top of your left foot down, but lift your left knee up towards a downward dog, but not the whole way, because I want you to keep the top of your left foot down, just a little bit lengthening through your shin. At the same time, the lengthening through your right calf. And then lower your knee down. Take yourselves back into table pose and give your wrists a little shake. Take ourselves into that variation of downward dog. There's a little bit more pressure onto wrists. And then we'll change sides. So this time extend your left leg back, ball of your foot down. Always little adjustments. And then steering your heel towards the back of the mat. And so even with the lengthening of the back of your calf, the Achilles tendon, your left thigh is still lifting up to allow your leg to stay long and strong with a sense of freedom of the opening of the calf. Keeping the extension of your left leg back, I want you to extend your right arm forward. Are you breathing? Have a full breath in, complete breath out. And then place your hand back down onto your mat. And then the movement. So press down dominantly onto the top of your right foot, keeping it glued to the mat, and lift your right knee up. So your belly button towards your spine, your core activated. At the same time, guidance of your left heel towards the mat. And then place your knee down. Take yourselves back into table pose. And then just sway your hips side to side. And in doing so, you can bend your elbows, taking the weight off your wrists. If it's better, you can be on towards your knuckles if your wrists need a little bit more of a break. And then once you've equally swayed as many times to the right as you do to the left, we're going to go right into downward facing dog. So tuck your toes under and actually take your hands a little closer. The first downward dog is shorter, a little bit more ease. Take your sitting bones back towards your heels to ensure that your arms and your torso is lengthening. And then lift your knees up and lift your hips into a downward facing dog. You can go for, again, a little bit of a walk. Take yourselves for a walk. Bend your knees very slowly. And sometimes in downward dog, there's almost a little bit of a rush of bending each of the knees. So enjoy this lovely gliding, lowering and lifting of your heels. Eventually back into the stillness of downward dog. Your heels towards the mat. They might not reach. allowing that lovely lengthening of the back of your legs. And then I want you to, with your right foot, walk forward to the front of the mat. And slowly walking forward. And at the front of the mat, hold on to opposite elbow. So blend together the lengthening of the back of your legs with the swaying of your torso. Head is heavy. Then I want you to drop your hands down towards the mat. And through the next 5 breaths, I want you to ragdoll yourselves into standing upright. So allow with each in-breath to be full, allow your body to expand and start to be lifting. The sigh of your exhale to ensure that the tightness hasn't lifted. And then slowly lifting the body, traveling with your breath. Stacking one vertebrae, one on top of the other. And the last to lift. The release of your 5th exhale will be the crown of your head. And then once you're there, slow movement of your shoulders, movements of your wrists, and soft bending and straightening of your legs. And give your body a little shake. Releasing. And then bring yourselves back to standing tall. In breath, lift your arms up to the sky, reaching tall. Keep your arms vertical. Then as your fingers are moving up, your tailbone down towards your mat. Long on your in-breath. On your exhale, hinge yourselves forward and down. So swan dive your arms to the side, all the way down. And then this time just holding onto your opposite elbow than before. And again, the lovely rocking. Place your hands now down onto your blocks or on towards the mat. And I want you to walk yourselves back to a child's pose. It's just the ease, traveling back, knees down and apart, and your toes together. And your head down can be onto a firm block, one hand on top of the other, and your forehead onto the floor. And then even wiggle your toes a little bit, just to remind yourselves that there's no weight on the soles of your feet. Allowing no weight onto your heart. The nourishment of your breath in and the completeness of your breath out. Take your arms forward now, but onto your fingertips. Sounds like there's a grapefruit under the palms of your hands. We're going to walk over towards the left. So staying onto your fingertips, it allows more lengthening of your body by keeping that height. And then eventually, settling of your hand down and your right hand on top. So your torso might be resting right onto your left thigh and your head onto the ground, or sometimes even your forehead resting onto your upper arm. It just needs a little bit of support. And then let's pop back onto our fingertips and little spider fingers and walk back to center and then over towards the right. The grounding, the palm, the settling, your other hand on top. Allow a little bit more growing through your torso. Back onto fingertop tips. back to center. And at center, lift your hands to ensure that your fingers are nicely flared open into table pose, and we're going to travel right back into downward facing dog. So bring your knees back to center, toes tucked under. You can do it onto your firm blocks or perhaps right onto the mat. It gives you more of a pressing down as you lift your knees. Hips fly, head hangs. And going again for that nice slow walk. And then bring yourselves back into stillness of downward dog. But lift your heels up and lift them a little higher. See if you can go right onto your tippy toes. And in, so the magnet of drawing your torso to your thigh. And then lower your heels down. And look forward to the front of the mat. And this time with your right foot, walk forward to the front of your mat. And as you're folded forward at the front of your mat, place your hands on your calves, just that we've been already stretched. The smoothness and support of your hands and the strengthness of your calves. Give your head a little shake. Make sure there's no tightness to the back of the neck. And then slide your hands forward onto your shins or maybe your thighs. You just have 3 half lifts. So with your in-breath, straightening of your arms and lifting up just halfway. And then softly descend back down. In, half lift. Out, complete release. Let's do it one more time. And down. Now place your hands on your blocks, if you have them, or on towards the mat, and step your right foot right to the back of the mat, but keep your right knee up, taking ourselves into a lunge pose. So in the verticals of your front shin, support of your hands, I want you to very slowly start to lower your right knee down, but have it just hovering off the mat. And then straighten of your leg. Actually have your back foot untucked, untucked. So untuck it so the top of your foot is onto the mat, and then lift your knee up. And then again, very slowly start to lower your knee down towards the mat, not quite touching, and then lifting up. So as you're doing so, the top of your left thigh bone back, right thigh bone forward, and again, lower it all the way down towards the mat. And then place your hands onto your knee, press your knee down, and lift yourselves up. A little bit more opening of the hip flexor. And place your hands onto your thighs. Now you place your hands back down onto your firm blocks and bring them onto its highest level. And untuck your back toes and lift your back knee up. And we're going to rock and roll. So take your back foot just a little farther forward. Eventually, lowering of your back heel down and lifting your front toes up. And then just change. So as your front foot is rooted down, your back heel is lifted up. And do it a few times. And perhaps the stance, the distance between your front heel and your back foot needs to be a little farther apart to get the opening, or maybe a little bit shorter. And the next time your back heel is anchored down, then allow all 4 sides of your front foot to settle. And the strength through your thighs completely relax, with the strength of your bones holding you in this pose. And you can have the firm block on its highest levels. Maybe if the back of your legs are a little more open today, you can take the firm blocks onto its side. Just sort of find the height that allows the opening but without feeding in any strain. Bend your front knee now, and in so lifting your back heel up, and just step forward to the front of the mat. Have your feet hip distance apart. And again, go for a little bit of a walk. So bending your right knee and then your left. And do it slow. And feel where the tightness is a little bit more so. One knee bent, your opposite hip feeling it. Sort of your hip, the connection to the top of your hamstrings, back of your thighs, to your gluteus maximus. And then come back to center in vertical after bending right knee as much as the left. And I want you to just step your right foot back to that high lunge again. So the high lunge, front knee is vertical, back leg is long, toes tucked under. Then I want you to slowly lower your left knee down towards the mat. So in doing so, the lengthening of the hip flexor. And actually, just to make it easier, place your left knee right onto the mat and untuck your toes. So you'll be pressing down onto the tops of your foot. And straighten your legs, so now your knee is off the mat. Even sliding the top of your left thigh bone forward and slowly lowering your knee down towards the mat. Lift your left knee up, giving yourselves that length. And then place your knee down. And this time, hands onto your thigh. Press down and lift yourselves up into the lovely supported Anjuriyasana. You can bring your palms together or keeping your hand onto your knee, whichever gives the support. You can focus more on the opening of the hip flexor and goes to the balance. And then place your hands back down onto your firm blocks. Take them up to vertical. And tuck your back toes under. Lift your knee up. And your back foot just a couple hops forward. And then the movement. Once you lower your back heel down, so all four sides of your back foot is down, lifting your front toes up. And then that slow movement. And as you know, calves can be a little bit tighter on one leg than the other. It's nice, the slow movement. Allow the pose to softly. Now this is almost a sinking into it, or maybe even a drifting down. But again, the strength of your bones, ligaments and tendons to hold your alignment, and this is the freedom of the muscles on the back of your leg. And the next time your back heel is rooted, keep it grounded, and nicely place your front foot down, head to hang, whichever height the firm blocks are. Imagine that there's a strap at the front of your hip flexors. So it's always almost tugging you back a little bit, so your hips are almost back a little farther, but at the same time the crown of your head a little farther forward. Allow it to be a little bit deeper. And then slowly bend your front knee. As your front knee is bent, pick your back heel up, so it allows the ease of walking, stepping forward to the front of the mat. At the front of the mat, place your hands onto your thighs or your shins. And have a lovely half lift up. Complete breath out, melt down. And take yourselves back into child's pose. A pose of familiarity and comfort. So walk your feet back, toes together, knees apart. And as you know, some of you know on Tuesday we did a couple of different variations. This time I want you to take your hands between your knees and thread them through to hold onto your big toes. Now if there's any discomfort with your shoulders, you can take your hands to the outer edges of your feet to your middle finger. Again, your head can be onto a block. Just allow a little bit more space. I'm trying all the different options of downward dog, which gives you the most release. And depending, it might not be the same each time, but depending on what we've done, maybe the tightness in the body for what you've been doing, or the need for a complete release. And then walk your hands forward towards your head to bring yourselves back up into table pose. And shake your hips side to side. Now I want you to take your left foot forward to the low lunge. So you can use the firm blocks if you want. So take it back into the lunge. We've already been there before. But this time when we do it, we're going to do it into dragon pose. So I want you to draw your knee even farther forward than your ankle, but you have the firm blocks to give you that support. So without the compression through the front of your ankle, your hands press your mat down to give you that lengthening. So lengthening and fullness. Now walk your front foot farther forward so that you're into the lunge, so that your front shin is vertical. Okay. From here, have your right hand onto the firm block, just off the mat. So you're giving yourselves a little bit of a twist. Then, I'm going to give you different options. You can stay just like this, or maybe starting to bend of your right knee so your heel is towards your buttocks. And that might be plenty. Or maybe holding on to your ankle to draw it a little bit more. So sort of find that position that gives that opening. Or maybe if you happen to have a strap right there, they can lap around your heel. So as you're doing so, your right ribs scoop under a little bit deeper onto the thigh. Maybe taking your gaze up, allowing the opening. And then bring yourselves back up to center and lowering your foot down. And this time just walk your left foot to the outer edge of the mat and we'll just go into lizard pose. So again, having those firm blocks. And then choosing the height. I always like in lizard pose to start with the firm block at its highest level. So you have that first support starting to sink into this pose. Just make sure that the outer edges of your front foot is on the outer edges of your mat. And 5 full breaths into lizard pose. So the option with your front foot, you can keep all 4 sides of your foot down, or maybe opening your knee towards the side. And as you know, the soft descending down, you can perhaps leave firm blocks on vertical, maybe lowering it down. Head is heavy, hands rest. Sometimes it's nice actually interleaving fingers, gives a sense of more support. And the slow filling, and then emptying of your body. At the end of your 5th exhale, so make sure that you've completed all of them. Be going back into the low lunge, just where we had been before. So once you've completed the whole pattern. So of course when you're doing so, you'll be walking your front foot back into center. And so as it's in center, you'll have your firm blocks on opposite sides to bring up. And then we're going to go into reverse. So just straighten your front leg. Back knee is bent. We're going to go into a reverse pose. So in doing so, your front leg is straight, your toes up, heel down, and then again deciding the height of your firm blocks. And then almost tugging the top of your left thigh bone back, and the rebound is the crown of your head forward. And then staying in this pose, take your hands on the firm blocks over towards the left side of your leg. So putting in a little bit of a twist. And as we had turned at the beginning of the class, you have the option of keeping your face down or maybe over your shoulder. Focusing first on the extension and lengthening of your front extended leg, and then perhaps, depending on your shoulders, your leg, your neck, maybe twisting of the gaze over your shoulder. And then let's all unwind. And just take your front leg back into table pose so that you can shake your hips side to side. And then we'll just change sides. So take this time your right foot forward, and we're going to go into dragon pose again. So with the assistance of the firm blocks, bend your front knee past your ankle. Okay, you can keep your gaze down. The support of pressing the mat down with your hands, with the lifting and lengthening of your left hip flexor. Directing of your bent front knee completely forward, but still directing of your sitting bones towards the back of your leg, towards your heels. As opposed to a collapsing, it's the extension. Now we're going to travel back into the low lunge, so walk your feet a little farther forward. And take your hand with the block over towards the left. Just allow yourself the initial twist. Now from the twist, you have the option of keeping your foot down, lifting of your heel up, or maybe the assistance of your hand. Of course, your front knee can be directly over your ankle or maybe opening a little bit towards the side. Give yourselves a full twist. Now, as you probably already know, really make sure that your left knee isn't feeling too much pressure where it's sore. So you can either have a pad underneath your knee or whichever would work the best. Maybe looking over your shoulder or not. Slightly shoulder blades together, the fullness. And then let's all softly, gracefully unwind by placing your hands onto your mat or your firm blocks. Foot down, and then walking your right foot to the outer edge of the mat to take yourselves back into lizard pose. So as you're directing your knee towards the right, either keeping your feet rooted or onto the outer edges of your foot, choosing the height of the firm blocks, enjoying the lovely lizard pose. And as before, the loveliness of the pattern of 5 breaths. So in this pose, 5 complete in-breaths, 5 complete out-breaths. And I think I might be frozen. And then come out of, once you're out of the lizard pose, I'll get you to walk your foot in to go into reverse. And I'm just going to go check that you guys can all see me. Keep your breath full and complete. Okay, going into reverse if we're not already there. I'm multitasking here now with connection. And with your front leg extended, I'll get you to move to... Give yourselves a little bit of that twist towards the side. Pose. Once you're there, just lie onto your back and draw your knees into your chest. And just sort of rock side to side. We're going to stay like this a little bit until we have a few more arrivals into the pose. Yes. And that loveliness of just shifting side to side, as I've said before, the back of your ribs are almost like a cradle. You can just go side to side, side to side. And actually, even in this pose, I'm going to get you to lift your right leg up, but just have your hands on the back of your hamstring and just do a very gentle forward and back. With that lovely opening. And it's nice hands on the back of the hamstring, a little bit of a massage. Right up towards your calf. So you can bend your lifted leg so that you take your fingers right up to the opening of the back of your calf. And then we'll just change sides. So place your foot down and draw your other knee in towards your chest. Hands wrap around the back of your hamstring and your leg growing up. And the lovely massaging the strengthens of the muscles. You can always bend your lifted knee so you can stretch your calf. So just as we've done on the other side. And then draw both of your knees in towards your chest. And I'm just going to get you to rock and roll forward and back, kind of like we've done in stretching of the hamstrings, to bring yourselves into sitting upright with your legs extended forward. So I'm just going to go to the side so you can see what I'm saying. So have your strap with you. So often in this stretch, we do it while we're lying down with legs up. But we're going to do it a little bit different today. I want you to take your strap and I want you to tuck it into your hip flexor. Okay. So often I talk in lunges, imagine it's into your hip flexor, and I want you to press it down and away. So it's almost like your seatbelt is on really tight. Okay. So as you're rooting down, lift your chest up and I want you to hinge yourselves forward and down. Keep your gaze past your toes. Even your shoulder blades slight together and back. Sometimes it's similar, I don't know if you've ever hung off a wall, where gravity is drawing you down, but your hips are being lifted and drawn away. And then slowly take your seatbelt, undo your seatbelt, and take the strap under the ball of your feet forward. And then lower down. Get a little bit more assistance of the lengthening of the torso opposed to the rounding of the back. Now your head can hang, shaking off any tightness that perhaps will return. And then how's your breath? This is always blending together. Hips back, head forward, legs long. Working on having the back of your legs flat. Now there might be a little bit of a bending, but really allow that gravity to be drawing them down. And so if the back of the legs are just not going to reach the mat, then just have a soft bend. And then very gently bring yourselves back up to sitting upright. And just take the strap off for now, and hopefully your firm blocks are still within reaching distance. We're going to do a forward fold into the V. The back of our legs are already long. This is going to give that fine little opening of the inner thighs. So in any of these poses, hands draw your buttocks back so your hips tilt forward. It's sort of that same motion as the strap has been drawing your hips back. You could hinge forward. By moving of your buttocks, your hips move forward. It's like there's a seatbelt already on it. And then take your firm blocks up to vertical. And just very passively, place your forearms onto your firm blocks. So they might be quite close or a little bit farther apart, but your head to hang. So it's nice with the forearms just resting onto the firm blocks. It takes away our unconscious achievement of reaching forward and dropping or pressing down. This just allows a sense as the mat is lifting you up, the gravity is drawing you down. It's the balance of the two together. Okay, you bring yourselves back into sitting upright. And actually keep your firm blocks in front of you. We're going to go into fire log. So fire log is bending with your knees and take yourself so one shin is crossed in front of the other. And I think we all have knee benders here, okay? If you guys today are not feeling comfortable sitting in this position, you can go into thread the needle on your back. The reminder of the thread the needle, or the fire log, is to take your shins a little farther forward. So opposed to, let me show it here, so opposed to your heels near your sitting bones, I want you to have that space a little farther forward. And then with the firm blocks, you got to support. So just as we had folded forward when we were opened into a V, we can now have them crossed. And then as before, nicely folding forward. So a couple of options. You can have your elbows onto the firm block with your head being supported by your hands. Perhaps your forearms onto the firm blocks. Or sometimes even just having your firm blocks down and your palms supported, maybe even onto your fingertips. Just sort of find the biggest support on this pose to release. Because as you know, there's the tightness, not just through the outer hips, but also the tightness through the front of your hip flexors. So sort of find the sweet spot and enjoy. And we were talking about the loveliness of the sigh. I want on your next in-breath to fill your whole body and your out-breath to release. And then once you've nicely completed your fifth exhale, I'll get you to just bring yourselves up with your feet on the outer edge of your mat for the sway, the windshield light. But again, once you've completed your breaths. So we'll do the other side. So just cross your shin, the opposite one that you did before. It sometimes feels a little repetitive, but just by having one shin in front of the other, it takes a little different connection of your thigh bone into your hip socket. We always like to be balanced. So having your opposite shin in front of the other, we're just going to do those 5 breaths again. So again, tucking your buttocks back, lengthening the front of your body so that you can hinge forward and down. And whichever support that you've chosen for the firm blocks, head supported, forearms rest, hands connect. And of course, those lovely 5 breaths. Take your attention sometimes not from the tightness of the muscles, but the rhythm of your breath, slow and complete. Once you've released your 5th exhale, I'll get you to take yourselves back into the lovely windshield wiping, side to side. Okay, so I'm going to get you to lie down onto your back. And I had said to make sure that you had either 2 pillows that are the exact same. So you can either have the 2 firm blocks, or if you have 2 cushions, if you have 2 bolsters. So, but basically 2 pillows from the couch, maybe from your bed. We'll be using it for Shavasana. And so for Shavasana, you're going to need to have the equal support. And we're going to use it for a twist. So have them on opposite sides of your mat. If you're not going to use the firm block for Shavasana, because you have the bolsters, you can put it aside. And then take your strap to your chest and lie down onto your back. We've been there before, so enjoy the side to side. And then I'll get you to take the strap and place it under the ball of under your left foot so that your leg can grow up. So we had just done this one, hands behind the back of the leg. And this time, in the support of the strap. Now in doing so, it allows a little bit more ease of your shoulders staying grounded. So not a reaching, more of a settling. And you can slowly start to lower your opposite leg down. So if you're feeling any strain in your lower back, then keep your right knee slightly bent. And then settling. Now place the strap into your left hand, your lifted leg, and I want you to open it out to the side. So you already have a pillow or a firm block to give the support. And seeing as it opens to the side, if you can lower your whole right leg down. It's almost like you're lying long, but your hip is opening. And so those pillows, the firm blocks, can be onto your outer thigh. Sometimes it's nice having it onto your outer calf, depending on how high your firm blocks are, or your pillow, or cushion, or whatever you have. And get you to open now, or lift up. So take the strap, tug it to pull your leg right back up to vertical. And then what I want you to do is take the strap off and bend your lifted leg. And we're just going to do a twist with the knee bent. So drawing your knee across your chest and rolling over for the twist. So as you're doing so, your right shoulder will be down. Your left shoulder also has to stay down. Your extended leg, your right leg that's down on the mat, be on the outer edge. So very similar twist. You why don't you extend your left arm to ensure that the outer edges of your left shoulder is staying completely grounded. Hi, Celia. I disappeared again. I don't know what's happening here. I shouldn't be. Let me just... But I've lost everybody else. Everybody else is frozen, so it wasn't yours down. Oh, hi, Eric. You're still there. Okay, I've got everybody there. Perfect. Everybody come back up to center, and we'll change sides. Internet isn't liking me today, even though the sun is shining. Okay, so this time, lift your left leg, or your right leg up this time. And laugh. It's the only thing you can do, right? Is laugh. So, opposite leg is lifted up. The top of your thigh bone is plugged into your hip socket to ensure that the back of your hips are grounded. Both of your shoulders are settled. By having the strap on your foot allows your heel to almost lift a little bit more for the opening. And then let's all open. So take the strap into your lifted leg and then open out towards the side. So again, you have the firm block, whatever support need be. Always, I didn't say this before, but it's always sometimes nice just to make sure your knee is extended to the side and it's straight. Just make sure your other hip stays grounded. And sometimes with the twist, because it's sometimes a little bit of a tug, your opposite buttocks will tighten up a little bit to protect. So make sure that both of your buttocks are completely relaxed. And enjoying the opening. And then slowly lift your leg back up to center. Take your strap off and get rid of it. Your lifted leg, bend the knee. Keep your right shoulder down as you twist across. And so as you know, a twist one side might need a little bit more support than the other. So make sure you have that support, either stacking firm blocks one on top of the other, the pillow, or maybe it's just ease twisting this side. Make sure, as you know, your right shoulder is pressed down. Make sure there's any discomfort of the twist. This is a pose of complete passiveness, just laying onto the mat. So enjoy. Here's your breath. A turn like this, that is a little bit deeper twist. Remember those sighs? A few more releases. The sigh, the tightness, gone. And then slowly bring yourselves back to center. Knees in towards your chest. And the lovely drawing in, pressing away any movement that's needed. Now we're going to go from here into the lovely happy baby. So hands between your knees, hands on the outer edges of your feet, and the lovely swaying side to side. And then we're going to go into Shavasana. So now these are the options. With your two pillows, I want you to have one under back of each of your legs. So as you know, in Shavasana, legs are a little bit farther apart. And having it so that both of your legs are supported. If you don't have pillows or cushions, with the firm blocks, you can just have your calves supported. It still gives a sense of the lifting. We're so used to the gravity drawing the whole back of the legs down. This way, it just gives, and if you want to have a pillow, sorry, a cushion, try this again, a blanket, just to keep that warmth. So in Shavasana, take that blanket or whatever warmth and allow it to drape over you. Your body is complete ease. You can even give your toes a little wiggle. It's almost like flying. But again, it's the balance. Flying with no connection with your legs to the mat, at the same time grounded is the whole back surface of your legs. Grounded, floating in the whole back surface of your back, completely connected to the earth. It's lovely to blend them together. It's almost like braiding of the hair, avoiding of the tangles. And draw your next breath into your belly. Allow a little bit more lifting and floating. And a complete release on your exhale. Slow breath, and yet holding the stillness, grounded and floating. How does it feel from the outside in? Softness of your breath, the softness of your fingers and your toes. And then take your hands to rest onto your tummy. I want you, with your breath, to breathe right to your belly button to allow a little bit more expansion, more of a sense of lightness. And your exhale, not a forced, but just a soft drifting away. The warmth of your hands, the weight of your hands, with the warmth and the fullness of your breath, a little bit like a wave. And then as you're ready, first draw your knees in towards your chest. And then once your knees are in towards your chest, a little bit of rocking side to side, eventually traveling over to lay down onto your right side. Knees in towards your chest. And your head, as you know, can rest onto your arm. Or if you have a blanket underneath the back of your head, just for the support. And then slowly press your left hand down to bring yourselves back into sitting upright. And sit in a position of comfort, perhaps one shin in front of the other, or your legs extended forward. And eyes staying closed. Taking from horizontal and lightness to verticalness and ease. Lifting of your shoulders up to your ears, back and down, and then the union of your palms together at heart center. That head bowed, allowing the gratitude. And divine is the light. Nasma is the divine, the light of me bowing to the divine light in you. I wish you namaste. Place your hands down and open your eyes.